First of all, welcome everyone, and those of you who are streaming us live, welcome to our meeting. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, public notice, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been posted at the Board's office and website and emailed to the Department of State and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Holden?
Here.
Commissioner Solomon?
Here.
Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
Commissioner Chrissy Ballou?
Here.
President Felice?
Here. And our next regularly scheduled meeting?
The next regular board meeting will be on Wednesday, December 7, 2022 at 10 a.m. It will be a hybrid meeting in person at the board hearing room at 44 South Clinton Avenue and live stream via YouTube.
Thank you. There will be no executive session today, so we're going to get right into the meeting and do our business. I do have some opening remarks first, and then any of my colleagues have any opening remarks, they can certainly participate in their opening remarks. Yesterday, as you know, was Election Day, and the reports I received, it was the biggest midterm turnout in years, if not ever, and which says something good, I think, about our democracy. Get out and vote. Vote and vote. And the participation is the important thing. It's not necessarily who you vote for, but it's the participation in the democratic process that keeps our democracy strong. Moreover, this Friday is Veterans Day, and serves as a humbling reminder to all of us, for those who gave their lives so that you and I were able to go out and vote yesterday. And we honor those men and women throughout the ages of our country, really. And I know this one is specifically for World War I, but it also reminds us of all the people from the Revolution on to the present that gave their lives, again, so that you and I could go out and vote yesterday. And we have to make sure that we honor their memories by voting and participating in the democratic process. In addition, before we meet again, which as the Secretary indicated is December 7th, another day that lives in infamy in our history, will be Thanksgiving. And we seem to overlook Thanksgiving here in the United States anymore. In August, they start, I see Christmas trees in stores. So they apparently forgot that there's a Thanksgiving somewhere. But it's one of the great holidays in American history. And I want to wish you and your families a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving. And we have a lot to be thankful for. We have our troubles as a nation. We have our challenges as a nation. But I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. Lastly, at our last meeting we discussed occupations in the utility industry. And it really gives me pleasure to be able to introduce the interns that we have here today and who are joining us for a period of time. And as you well know, many times when we have interns, they even like us, and they stay and apply for a job. And in spite of some of the people they meet, they still like us, and so on. And we are so happy and so fortunate, really, to discover such great talent among our interns. And this class is no different. We have some outstanding interns. And what I'm going to ask is that the interns who are here to please stand and introduce yourselves. There are some that are not here. Sienna Stokes is not here. Julian Santos is not here. Graham Volkenberg is not here. Amanda Lascano is not here. And when they are here, we will introduce them so you can see who they are. And they really are an outstanding class. So, sir, why don't we start with you?
Hi, my name is Gabriel Garcia. Currently I'm a senior at Rutgers University, New Brunswick, double majoring in political science and economics.
We wouldn't hold that against you that you go to Rutgers.
Yeah, so I'm in the Division of Audits, intern in the Division of Audits. Started around mid-September. So
Good.
It's been a good experience so far.
Well, great. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
And I hope it's a worthwhile experience for all of you as you go through your internship here at the BPU. It's the most exciting department in state government to be in right now. There's no
I'll
question.
take your word for it.
Well, you know, if you don't take my word for it, you're fired.
Oh.
I'm teasing, of course.
Pressure.
No pressure, right? Ma'am,
My name is Fauza Latif, and I'm a junior at New Jersey City University. I'm majoring in National Security Studies and Political Cybersecurity, and I am interning in IT department, and I like it here.
do you? Well, we like having you here, and good luck to you. Sir?
Hi, my name is Andy Woe. I'm currently attending the College of New Jersey as a senior, majoring in economics and minoring in supply chain management. I am also interning in the IT division, and I really enjoyed this internship experience at BP so far, and I really want to thank all of you for making this a very great environment for me to work in.
Well, good. Well, thank you. And good luck to you. And both of you in the IT division are in a premier division. Am I right, Derek?
I agree 100%, Mr. President.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. And good luck. And know that we're all here, regardless of what division you're in. We're all here to help you. We're all here to assist in any possible way. We want this experience to be an extraordinary one for you, one where you learn, and hopefully, in some cases, actually set a direction as to where you want to go and what you want to do. So, never hesitate to ask anybody. Everybody's here who's here is willing to help in one way or another. So please don't. Okay? Thank you. And by the way, I asked Derek, thank you, Commissioner. I asked Derek about the IT, and Derek is a veteran of the United States Army. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your service, Derek.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else that I'm missing who's a veteran? No, just Derek. We used to have years ago.
Eric.
Who?
Eric Jamal. Eric come.
Yeah, who's here right now. But we do have others, and we used to have years ago a kind of a ceremony for those veterans who put it all on the line. And as I said before, put it all on the line so that you and I had the opportunity to vote yesterday. And we have to make sure we protect their honor and respect their service by participating in the democratic process. Thank you. Also, I want to identify Michael Hunter, a previous intern. See interns? Michael is just became a member of the New Jersey Bar and is working in our legal division. And Michael Beck had a wonderful ceremony swearing you in the other day. And those of us who were privileged enough to be there, I was very touched. And I want to officially welcome you and thank you for choosing the BPU. And I think you can attest to our younger interns that it's quite an exciting place to be.
Absolutely.
And so on. So good luck, and I hope you have a long and happy career here, Michael.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And Michael Beck, thank you for that ceremony. It was well done.
Happy to do it. We are very excited to have Mr. Hunter with us.
Good. Do any other of my colleagues have anything they would like to say? Madam Secretary, the consent agenda.
On consent agenda items 1A, 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes. There are no, I'm sorry.
Minutes.
The minutes.
Approval of the minutes.
Oh, we have an approval of the minutes. Yes, I was just going to say that. About that, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. President, I'd like to recuse myself from this vote because I wasn't part of the board at that time.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're good?
Commissioner Holden?
Or we just did a voice vote?
We just did a voice vote for the
Okay.
minutes, okay? Everybody agrees except the recusal.
Thank you.
We'll now proceed. Audits, there is nothing to, under consideration there. Energy. Ryan, I think you're first up, presenting items 2A, B, and C. Apparently have something to do with FERC or PJM or
Yes, all FERC items.
all FERC items. So the floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners. Item 2A is regarding FERC's generator interconnection process notice of proposed rulemaking. On June 16, 2022, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, issued a notice of proposed rulemaking, also called the NOPR, proposing to reform the Commission's standards for generator interconnection procedures and agreements to address the existing interconnection queue backlogs, decrease uncertainty for interconnection customers, and ensure non-discriminatory treatment of new technology seeking to interconnect to the grid. The Commission proposed to transition from a first-come, first-served sequential review process to a first-ready, first-served cluster review approach to address the drastic and constantly increasing nationwide interconnection queue backlogs. The Commission further proposed several reforms that will facilitate better coordination between states as planning entities, transmission developers, and transmission providers. On October 13th, board staff, on behalf of the board, filed comments in the generator interconnection NOPR proceeding at the FERC in general support of the Commission's proposed reforms. Accordingly, staff recommends that the board ratify the comments filed with FERC on October 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes. 2B, Ryan?
Item 2B is regarding the state agreement approach cost allocation filing at the FERC. On August 19, 2022, the PJM transmission owners submitted a proposed state agreement approach cost allocation methodology to FERC for approval. Under the commission-approved SAA term sheet, the board and the PJM transmission owners were required to work together and have PJM transmission owners file a cost allocation methodology to allocate the cost for any SAA project selected by the board. The PJM transmission owners and board staff agreed that allocating costs on a load ratio shared basis to New Jersey load was the correct methodology, and on August 19th, they filed modifications to PJM's tariff to incorporate these changes. On September 9th, 2022, board staff filed comments supporting the PJM transmission owners filing. Additionally, the Long Island Power Authority, New York Power Authority, Neptune Regional Transmission System LLC, Linden VFT LLC, and Hudson Transmission Partners LLC, collectively the Merchant Transmission Facilities, filed comments on September 9th, 2022. Seeking clarification on certain tariff language because they believed that the costs could be allocated to them. On September 22nd, 2022, FERC issued a deficiency letter to the PJM transmission owners seeking more information on the cost allocation tariff language and how it would allocate costs to a point of delivery at PJM's border and be incorporated in PJM's yearly borderly rate. On October 5th, 2022, the PJM transmission owners filed their answer to the deficiency letter, answering FERC's questions by explaining that the costs would be allocated to those taking service on PJM's border and not included in the calculation of the yearly border charge. The PJM transmission owners also asked the Commission to promptly approve the cost allocation tariff changes. On October 7th, staff on behalf of the board filed answers supporting the PJM transmission owners' answer and responding to the Merchant Transmission Facilities' request for clarification by explaining that costs will not be allocated to customers outside of the state of New Jersey. On October 14th, 2022, PJM filed comments supporting the PJM transmission owners filing and requested a quick decision by the Commission. Staff recommends that the board ratify the comments filed on October 7th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Fernandez?
Yes. And 2C, Brian.
Item 2C is regarding another FERC NOPR. This is the transmission and cost allocation NOPR. On July 15, 2021, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission issued an advance notice of proposed rulemaking, or ANOPR, called Building for the Future Through Electric Regional Transmission Planning and Cost Allocation and Generator Interconnection. The Commission invited comments on various topics related to the transmission and interconnection reform processes. On April 21, 2022, FERC issued a Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, or NOPR, in the ANOPR docket that proposed an extensive set of reforms to transmission planning and cost allocation processes. On August 17, 2022, staff on behalf of the board submitted comments that supported most aspects of the NOPR, but opposed FERC's proposal to restrict competition by reinstating the federal right of first refusal. On September 19, 2022, staff on behalf of the board filed reply comments in response to other parties' comments in this proceeding. Several parties also filed reply comments relevant here, including PJM's. PJM's reply comments asserted that the board's initial comments overestimated, and I'll quote, by orders of magnitude, the interconnection cost savings that would result from a proactively planned portfolio designed to integrate all resources required by PJM's state clean energy policies. This assertion implied that such costs of a portfolio would not provide any meaningful benefit to ratepayers, thereby undermining the argument that FERC has the authority to proceed with reforms that staff believes are in the interest of New Jersey, its ratepayers, and the broader PJM region. Staff therefore filed a motion for leave to reply and replied to PJM's reply comments in order to correct the record and explain the board's analysis and demonstrate that the FERC has legal authority to implement such reforms. Staff recommends that the board ratify the motion for leave to reply and reply to reply comments staff filed with FERC on September 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Comment?
Yes.
Yeah, with respect to transmission and the FERC and our having transparency and insight into those costs, I think these types of filings and comments indicate that having that information available to this board when we're making decisions regarding transmission and having insight into those costs at whatever level is, very important for our ratepayers.
Amen. And that's been a fight for a long time, particularly with these supplemental
Projects.
transmission projects. And the transmission owners are a very powerful group in PJM. But by the same token, that does not stop us and other state commissions from constantly putting pressure on more transparency as far as these projects are concerned. Because we're seeing year after year after year, the cost of transmission charges going up and up and up, directly on people's bills, and to the point where they almost equal distribution charges. So this is something that we have to continue to fight for. So good job, let's keep pushing.
Absolutely.
If there are no other comments, questions, roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Burleson?
Yes. There was something I was going to say. Left my
It'll come back.
left my head. But Ryan, thank you. And I know what I was going to say. Thank you. It did come back. I'm sorry the interns left because Ryan started here. Oh, you're here. Okay. So maybe you can tell the others. Ryan started as an intern here, and then liked us for some reason. We brainwashed her, I guess. And then became aide to Commissioner Holden, who further brainwashed her, and so on. And now is one of our important individuals in our federal, regional and federal division, monitoring what's going on at PJM and FERC. And she's one of the bright stars in the division, and in the agency in general. So you're doing a great job, Brian. Thank you. Now, we're going to have another Ryan come up, but this is Ryan with 2 N's. The other Ryan coming up has 1 N, right?
Yes.
All right, I got that right, okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
And Ryan with 1 N, you're up.
What a historic day. 2 Ryans to start an agenda.
What can be better?
I know. So, good morning.
Good morning.
This is agenda item 2D. This agenda item is a recommendation for securing electric power supplies for basic generation service customers for the period beginning June 1, 2023. By way of background, the board issued an order on April 6th opening a proceeding to determine how to procure the remaining 1/3 of the state's BGS RSCP and the annual BGS CIEP requirements for the period beginning June 1, 2023. The EDCs made a joint filing on July 1, 2022. On September 2nd, 2022, the board received initial comments on the proposal. The board held a legislative-type hearing on September 15th, 2022, and on October 11th, 2022, the board received final comments on the proposal. Staff's recommendations have been set forth in the agenda memo and the commissioner's briefings, but there are several issues that I will describe here. Number one, capacity proxy price. In the past several BGS proceedings, and the EDCs proposed and the board approved the use of a capacity proxy price for each EDC to be treated as the capacity price for the delivery years that had not yet had the base residual auction results. In this proceeding, the EDCs are once again proposing to use a capacity proxy price for the 2024-2025 and 2025-2026 delivery years as necessary. However, if the results of the BRA auction for the 2024-2025 or the 2025-2026 delivery years are known at least 5 business days prior to the start of the BGS RSCP auction, the EDCs asserted that the capacity proxy price for the applicable delivery year would no longer be needed and would be voided. As noted by Rate Counsel and the EDCs, some uncertainty remains for the upcoming BGS RSCP auction regarding the base residual auction results for the 2024, 2025, and 2025-2026 delivery years. Staff recommends that the board approve the EDC's proposed capacity proxy prices for the 2024-2025 and 2025-2026 delivery years. However, staff notes that should the prices for the 2024-2025 or 2025-2026 delivery years be known 5 days prior to the BGS RSCP auction, the capacity proxy price for the applicable delivery year will no longer be needed and should be voided. Topic number 2, supplier master agreements. In its initial comments, AXPO requested that the EDCs and BPU consider increasing transparency regarding contract valuation as contemplated in the SMAs. Specifically, AXPO sought further clarity in the mark-to-market amount calculation information provided to suppliers. AXPO further requested that the EDCs provide daily exposure calculations to the BGS suppliers and replace the averaging of independent broker quotes with the intercontinental, also ICE, end-of-day marks, which are public and transparent. The EDCs did not oppose either of the suggested changes by AXPO, but requested that the EDCs would provide the credit exposure calculations to the BGS RSCP suppliers upon receipt of a request from a supplier. The EDCs also requested that should the board approve AXPO's recommendation to use a single source for the calculation of exposure, that the board allow for the change to be made for all BGS RSCP suppliers serving load as of June 1, 2023. The EDCs have drafted an amendment that could be executed at the supplier's option to implement the change mentioned above to the 2021 and 2022 BGS RSCP SMAs. The EDCs propose that if this recommendation is approved, that the change to the determination of the forward market energy prices only be implemented if all BGS RSCP suppliers serving tranches 1 in 2021 and 2022 BGS RSCP auctions elect to sign the amendment for the reasons expressed above. If all previous suppliers do not elect to sign the amendment prior to the BGS RSCP auction, according to the timeline set forth in Supplement C of the BGS RSCP SMA, the change would not go into effect for the prior BGS RSCP SMAs or for the BGS RSCP SMAs to be executed following the 2023 BGS RSCP auction. Staff recommends the board approve AXPO's request to increase transparency regarding contract valuation by providing mark-to-market credit exposure calculations to BGS RSCP suppliers upon receipt of a request from a BGS RSCP supplier for the calculated amount. Staff also recommends the board approve AXPO's request to adopt a single source to determine the forward market energy prices for all BGS RSCP suppliers that will be serving load as of June 1, 2023. However, staff notes that ICE does not need to be used as the single source. Staff recommends the board approve Supplement C of the BGS RSCP SMA, which will only take effect if all BGS RSCP suppliers serving tranches 1 in 2021 and 2022 BGS RSCP auctions execute the amendment. If not all previous suppliers elect to execute the mark-to-market amendment prior to the BGS RSCP auction, according to the timeline set forth in Supplement C to the BGS RSCP SMA, the change would not go into effect for any BGS RSCP supplier. Staff recommends the board order the EDCs to notify staff and rate counsel whether or not they implement the changes by January 31st, 2023. The next issue, electric vehicles BGS rates. The board has approved EV programs for all EDCs, and according to the proposal, The EDCs are in the early stages of collecting data from the program's EV installations. The EDCs claim the data from the EDC EV program installation is either not available or insufficient to establish BGS rates for EV charging companies. Similar to last year, Electrify America requested that the board direct each of the EDCs to submit options for volumetric capacity rates for EV DCFC stations in this proceeding for review, and that the EDCs revise the way they set the initial capacity tags for DCFC stations. Both the EDCs and rate councils opposed any changes to the rate design for DCFCs in this instant proceeding. Staff does not believe there is currently enough information to establish a revenue-neutral volumetric rate design, and as such recommends the board reject Electrify America's request. However, staff is concerned with the pace of progress in proposing a vetted rate design and recommends the board direct staff to work with the interested parties to come to a consensus in an attempt to find a rate design solution before the EDC's next BGS proposal. Staff also recommends the board direct the EDCs to continue to collect data, subject to customer consent, and submit semi-annual reports to the board and rate council as agreed in their EV stipulations with the following information as it pertains to both residential EV and DCFC charging stations: the total energy consumed, capacity and transmission tags, measured demands, connected load, and the resulting load factor. Staff also notes the distribution side of residential EV charging was addressed in some of the EDC's EV proceeding and believes a BGS time of use rate can be created and recommends the board order the EDCs to create a similar solution on the residential supply side to take effect June 1, 2023. While staff acknowledges the EDCs and rate council's concerns regarding the need for additional information regarding capacity tags, staff believes it is reasonable for the EDCs to reevaluate the initial capacity tags for DCFC stations after 6 months. Staff recommends the board order that after the first 6 months of operations of a DCFC station, the EDCs set the capacity tags for the remaining 6 months based on the DCFC station's actual usage. To summarize, with the modifications suggested, staff recommends that the board approve the descending clock auction process, the auction rules, the board approval process, and SMAs that are proposed by the EDCs. Staff also recommends the board require each of the EDCs to file an amended BGS compliance filing by November 30th, 2022, and authorize staff to review the compliance filings and request that the board secretary issue a compliance letter if the filings are found to be compliant. Mouthful, I know.
Yeah. The intern back there, he thought he was in another country listening to another language.
And I think you used every letter in the alphabet.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that now? So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christie DeLue?
Yes.
President Ferlisa?
Yes. Thank you, Ryan, with
Thank
one
you.
N. Paul, you're up, and you're going to be doing the next 3 items, E, F, and G.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Marcal Paper, I think is the first one.
Sorry? 2E?
Marcal Paper, this is the first one.
Yes. On August 12, 2022, Marcal filed a petition seeking a 3-year extension in board-approved agreements governing the societal benefits charge that the company pays for electric and natural gas service provided by Public Service Electric and Gas Company at its paper mill in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Markel's current SBC discounts expire on December 1st, 2022. On October 24th, 2022, Markel filed a letter with the board requesting a temporary extension in the current SBC rates assessed to avoid any lapse in the current discounted rates. On October 25th, 2022, the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel filed comments not opposing a temporary extension of the current SBC discount. As the petition is under review, an additional time is needed to complete a comprehensive review. Since the timing of the petition does not permit sufficient time for the parties to review and make recommendations on the discounted SBC rates, staff recommends that the board issue an order temporarily extending the discounted electric and natural gas SBC rates that Markel pays for services rendered on or after December 1st, 2022, until a final order is rendered in this matter.
So moved.
Second.
As you all may recall, Markel had a major, really a devastating fire some years ago now, and is still trying to get back on its feet. And we have been trying to be as much of an assistance as possible in helping them do that. We certainly want them to remain in New Jersey. We certainly don't want them to in any way close up shop. And this is one way where we can help Markel to continue operations here in the state of New Jersey as they work toward eventually full operation. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Felice?
Yes. Next item, Paul.
On November 16, 2015, the board approved the current rate schedule contract service gas CSG agreement between Public Service Electric and Gas Company and Markel Manufacturing LLC for a 7-year term, which will expire on December 1st, 2022. On October 20th, 2022, PSE&G and Markel entered into an amended CSG agreement for natural gas service at its paper mill plant in Elmwood Park, New Jersey, for a 3-year period. On October 21st, 2022, PSE&G filed a letter petition requesting approval of the amended CSG agreement and requested that portions of the amended CSG agreement be treated as confidential. On October 24th, 2022, Markel filed a motion to intervene in this matter. On October 25th, 2022, PSE&G filed a letter with the board requesting a temporary extension of the current CSG agreement to avoid the lapsing of Markel's current discounted rates on December 1st, 2022. On October 25th, 2022, the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel filed comments not opposing Markel's motion to intervene and not objecting to PSE&G's request for a temporary extension. Rate Counsel recommended that the temporary extension of the current CSG agreement be granted to permit the parties to conduct a comprehensive review of the petition. Since the timing of the petition does not permit sufficient time for the parties to review and make recommendations on the amended CSG agreement, staff recommends that the board issue an order temporarily extending the current CSG agreement between PSE&G and Markel until a final order is rendered in this matter. Staff further recommends that the board grant Markel's motion to intervene in this proceeding, which is not opposed by any party.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Felice?
Yes. And the final item?
On June 30th, 2022, Public Service Electric and Gas Company filed a petition seeking approval of gas base rate changes to recover approximately $27.94 million in revenue requirement associated with its extension of the Gas System Modernization Program, or GSMP2, through August 31st, 2022, not yet covered rates. PSE&G updated its schedules to include actual GSMP2 expenditures through August 31st, 2022, which supported a revenue requirement of approximately $22.97 million. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover a revenue requirement of approximately $22.97 million, consistent with the update on a provisional basis, subject to refund and a prudency review. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential gas customer, heating customer, using 172 therms in the winter and 1,040 therms annually would see an annual bill increase of $12.60. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing PSE&G to file revised tariffs by November 30th, 2022 for service rendered on and after December 1st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? I think this is another demonstration of working with the utilities to continue to upgrade infrastructure and modernize the various aspects of their business, and it's to serve the citizens of New Jersey a little bit better. And just so you know, we work with all of our utilities to enhance infrastructure. The infrastructure has to be top-notch, otherwise the service is not top-notch. And infrastructure is an engine, one of the engines that drives business here in the state of New Jersey. So we have to ensure the fact that we are constantly on top of infrastructure improvements. Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Call. Michael, you're up. There are no items under cable television or telecommunications, so that brings us to water.
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners.
Good morning, Mike.
We have 3 items before you for water. First is Middlesex Water Company. On August 2nd, 2022, Middlesex Water Company filed a petition seeking authority to make certain changes to its tariff. By letter dated August 29th, 2022, the Division of Rate Counsel stated that it did not object to Middlesex's request. Staff recommends that the board adopt Middlesex's proposed changes to its tariff.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes.
And the next, I am once again with props. The board adopted, updated to its uniform system of accounts for water and wastewater utilities. The wastewater accounts were previously in effect since 1957. The water uniform system of accounts were previously in effect since 1960. The board adopted final rules adopting updated uniform system of accounts for both water utilities and wastewater utilities in the January 19th, 2021 New Jersey Register. The updated uniform system of accounts were to become effective on January 1st, 2022. By letters dated June 9th, 2022, Middlesex Water Company and its wholly owned subsidiaries, Pinelands Water Company and Pinelands Wastewater Company, requested extensions from January 1st, 2022 to January 1st, 2023 for the effective date for the implementation of the updated uniform system of accounts. The Division of Rate Counsel filed comments stating that they do not object to the requested waivers, and board staff recommends that the board grant the requested waivers.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
If I could just ask you to describe your show and tell. The props you brought in, they look fascinating.
Here's the uniform system of accounts for wastewater utilities, the previous uniform system of accounts. They were adopted effective August 1st, 1957. And there's different classes of water utilities based on the revenues of the water companies. So the uniform system of accounts for Class A and B water companies, which were the largest of the water companies, were adopted in 1959, effective January 1st, 1960, and that's in $1960, so it's very obsolete. And the uniform system of accounts for the Class C water companies were effective also in 1960. And we have been talking about updating the uniform system of accounts during my entire career here, which was 31 years on June 1st. And thanks to the effort of the board and myself and lots of other people, we finally made it happen. And I am very proud of that change.
Commissioner, this will be one of Michael's legacies.
One of the many.
One of the many.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Well done, Michael.
Thank you. And last but not least,
Roll call, we will take a roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes, now, Michael.
and last but not least, in the matter of the
And
application.
Mr. President, I apologize, I will also be recusing myself from this vote because in 2021, I helped American Water with a local issue.
Thank you, Commissioner.
On August 6, 2015, pursuant to the New Jersey Water Supply Public-Private Contracting Act, the City of Camden filed a petition with New Jersey American Water Company seeking approval to enter into a public-private contract for the operation and maintenance of the city's water and wastewater system within the City of Camden with New Jersey American Water Company. The board normally does not have jurisdiction over the City of Camden because it does not serve outside of the City of Camden, but the board does have jurisdiction along with the Department of Community Affairs and the Department of Environmental Protection over certain contracts entered into by municipalities and other unregulated entities and regulated entities. And in this case, it's an unregulated subsidiary of New Jersey American Water Company. The board approved the existing contract on December 16th, 2015. Camden and American Water implemented the services agreement terms and conditions contract for a 3-year of a 10-year term. During the first 3 years of operation, Camden and American Water identified certain provisions of the service agreements that required revisions. Following negotiations, the City of Camden and American Water agreed to an amendment of the existing agreement. The city's council adopted a new ordinance authorizing the filing of an application with the local finance board for approval of the amendment pursuant to the act. On June 25th, 2018, Camden files a approval for amendment with the board, which the board approved on October 29, 2018. On September 6, 2022, Camden filed a new petition with the board seeking approval of a second agreement and extension of the services agreement. Board staff recommends approval of the amendment with the following conditions. Any extension of the contract beyond the 15-year extension or pursuant to NJSA 58:26-25C4, any amendment of the contract changing the formula or other basis for determining the charges contained therein shall be subject to board review and approval.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
There are no items under reliability and security or customer assistance. That brings us to clean energy, and I think, Paul, you're up for the first item.
All right, thank you. Green is good. All right. Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners. For clean energy to be attached to the grid at an accelerated pace and as effectively and efficiently as possible, New Jersey's interconnection rules and processes require updating. To identify the necessary interconnection rules update, the board authorized a contract with Guidehouse who developed a systematic research and stakeholder engagement program that spanned 5 stakeholder meetings, encouraged submittal of written comments throughout, and culminated in a final report containing the results of Guidehouse's research and presenting key findings and 9 recommendations. The recommendations contained in the Guidehouse report are categorized as follows: near-term and longer-term. The near-term recommendations 1 through 4 in the report are relatively straightforward and include incorporating the latest interconnection standards, streamlining and updating the interconnection application process, standardizing utility hosting capacity maps, and instituting a pre-application process for projects greater than 500 kilowatts in size. Longer term, recommendations 5 through 9 in the report are generally more complex and will require additional stakeholder input and analysis and collective debate. These recommendations include establishing an interconnection tariff, efficiently sequencing interconnection requests, reforming interconnection cost allocation, requiring utilities to submit integrated distribution plans, and establishing rules for connecting and operating hybrid energy systems. So therefore, with that in mind, staff makes 3 recommendations. First, staff recommends that the board accept the Guidehouse report and authorize its release to the public. Second, staff recommends the board direct staff to release for public comment a draft of the proposed rule change language for the near-term recommendations for public comment in order to expedite the rulemaking process for these recommendations. And third, staff recommends the board direct staff to initiate a process that will obtain the analysis and stakeholder input and facilitate the collective debate needed to result in initiating a rulemaking process for the longer-term recommendations as soon as practical. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
First of all, Paul, thank you for the presentation. I want to thank you and Jim and Abe and the rest of the team for this report, along with our consultant Guidehouse. This is vital, and I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but you know, when you reach a certain age, that's okay, to repeat yourself. So I'm going to repeat myself. My greatest fear is that one morning we're going to wake up and we have no place to plug in our renewable energy. And it's something that I said just a little while ago, the fact that grid modernization and enhancement of the infrastructure is vital if we're going to proceed and achieve our goal as far as clean energy is concerned. So thank you very much for your work and the team's work. You have a great team there and some really sharp minds, and it's important that we keep working in that direction and keep working with our utilities in enhancing that infrastructure so it's ready when we're ready to plug it in, so to speak. So thank you again. Any other comments, questions? Yes?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to just add my thanks for the efforts of your team. Last week, we took a step that we all recognized was critical in our efforts to decarbonize our energy supply by selecting a project for offshore transmission. And similarly, this step is also critical. We, as the President pointed out, we just need to build up the capacity of the grid to accommodate these new sources of energy, and these are just really important steps that we're taking. I want to thank you for doing all the groundwork for that.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Federico?
Yes. Paul, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hunter, I think you're up for the next 400 items or something. Is that right?
Yes, sir. President Fiordaliso, Commissioners,
Mr. Hunter?
item 8B. Staff recommends that the board consider 28 petitions covering 199 projects.
How many?
199, approximately.
You're not going to read each one?
No, I will not.
Oh, okay.
Developers are seeking extensions of time to complete the transition incentive program. The TI program is approved by board order dated December 6, 2019, to serve as an opportunity for incentive for solar projects after the closure of the legacy SREC program until the opening of the successor incentive program. The interim nature of the TI program has been continuously reinforced since inception of the program. Consistent with the interim nature of the program, there are no provisions for extension of incentive eligibility in the board order or rules for the program. All projects in TI, except those conditionally certified as subsection T projects, were provided 1 year to complete and commence commercial operations and submit post-construction certification packages. The incentives in the TI program were developed from cost data collected in the legacy SREC program from 2017 through 2019. The projects anticipated to be served by the TI program were primarily those registered in the legacy SREC program that were not expected to meet the statutory deadline for closure. The board determined that the state's installed capacity provided the 5.1% of our retail electricity consumption in May 2020, closing the legacy SREC program and opening the TI program. By order dated July 28, 2021, the board directed staff to close the TI program to new registrations on August 27. At this same agenda meeting, the board also established the administratively determined incentive program within the successor solar incentive program and directed staff to begin accepting registrations on August 28, 2021. The petitions and their appendices are described in the paperwork that you've been provided. The vast majority of the registrations for the projects covered by the petitions were submitted in the last week before the registration window closed. The petitions frequently cite supply chain, general supply chain, municipal permitting, and routine interconnection issues, as well as some unique circumstances that were within the control of the petitioning developer or host site. Staff have carefully reviewed the petitions and find a similar fact pattern among the causes of their inability to meet the one-year deadline required for TI program eligibility. These projects were not mature enough to meet the TI deadlines, and they were not delayed by unforeseen interconnection upgrades required by their local electric distribution company, as addressed in the June 8th order known as the Gibbstown case, that provided an extension opportunity for similarly situated projects. As a result, staff makes the following 3 recommendations. First, the board find that the petitioners have not established adequate factual basis nor demonstrated good cause justifying a waiver of the board's rules. Second, find that the petitioners should not receive extensions for the subject projects. And finally, the board waived the petitioners' projects that have commenced commercial operations after the TI deadlines, but before submitting an ADI registration, the board's rules in the administratively determined incentive program that requires that they receive a notice of conditional registration in this program prior to commencing construction. Those are the 3 recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Thank you, Scott, for not reading all 199. We appreciate that. Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes. Scott, I had an opportunity, I had a meeting, I guess it was last week, with people concerned about our solar program. and I keep repeating this, but it's important that people know that over the past 17 years, our solar program has certainly advanced to a level that I think all of us can be proud of. And the fact that Scott has been a part of that over that period of time and has done a marvelous job in getting us to where we are today. And we always know that, unfortunately, there are some who say the sky is always falling. But it hasn't fallen yet, has it, Scott?
No, President Friedman, so.
No. So, very good. Good job as usual.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christie DeLue?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes. Thank you, Scott. There are no items under miscellaneous.
He has a second one.
I'm sorry?
Correct.
I have 2 more items. 2 more items.
Well, I was getting tired of looking at you, I guess. I'm sorry. Scott, why don't you do the two remaining items? I have to remind you.
This item 8C, it relates to a subsection T application from CEP Renewables to have its Changewater Solar Farm project certified as being located on a brownfield pursuant to subsection T of the Solar Act of 2012. The applicant's proposed 54.8 megawatt DC project is proposed to be located on 97.63 acres at the former Getty Pipe Company terminal in Washington Township in Warren County, New Jersey. Staff reviewed the application and supplied a copy to the NJDEP for their review. We subsequently received an advisory memo on the application where the NJDEP determined that the proposed site is a brownfield as defined by the Solar Act. The DEP also provided specific conditions and requirements for permits and approvals from the NJDEP that the project must satisfy. Based upon the review of the application and the advisory memorandum provided by the NJDEP, staff makes the following 3 recommendations. That the board first grant conditional certification of the Changewater Solar Farm project as proposed for the former Getty Pipe Company terminal on property defined as a brownfield consistent with the Solar Act of 2012. Second, find that the conditions for certification provided by the DEP must be fully documented as satisfied by the applicant prior to staff's issuance of full certification. And finally, direct the applicant to file its TREC registration within 14 days of the date of the order.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christie DeLue?
Yes.
President Ferguson?
Yes. And now the final item.
Finally, item 8D relates to an application submitted by Novidian Energy for remote net metering at the Edgewater Borough. The Clean Energy Act of 2018 directed the board to establish an application and approval process to certify public entities to act as a host customer for remote net metering capacity within 120 days of enactment. In compliance with this directive, the board approved such a process and a public entity certification agreement by order dated September 17, 2018. On April 29, 2022, Novidian submitted a remote net metering application for Edgewater Borough to the board secretary's office. The application included a fully executed public entity certification agreement and an interconnection application, Part 1, executed by the Edgewater Borough Administrator as a representative of the customer generator. The certification agreement further specifies that the primary host account is the Edgewater Borough Community Center, where the proposed 251.1 kilowatt solar electric generation facility will be located. The agreement also indicates that the borough's City Hall will be serving as the sole receiving customer account and be allocated 100% of the credits from the proposed solar facility. On April 29, 2022, Public Service Electric and Gas was provided the application for remote net metering. The company reviewed the application and found that the application for net connection and the public entity certification agreement and provided no objections. Staff makes the following two recommendations. First, staff recommends the board find that the applicant has proposed a solar electric generation facility that is consistent with the size limits established by the board's September 2018 remote net metering order. And second, find that the proposed solar electric generation facility described in the application satisfies the criteria set out by the board in the remote net metering order and approve the public entity certification agreement for the Edgewater Borough project.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Scott? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delou?
Yes.
President Fergalisa?
Yes. Now I can say thank you, Scott? Thank you, Scott. There is one, and that really ends our agenda. But there is something I would like to address that was published in Politico, I guess last week or week before, or one of these past weeks, regarding offshore wind and the fact that I think it put doubt in some people's minds regarding the offshore wind project that we're currently involved in with Ørsted. And I just want to tell and make a public statement that nothing is in jeopardy. We're working with Ørsted. We're working with the governor's office to ensure the fact that the project moves forward as expeditiously as it possibly can. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting today, and we will be discussing with Ørsted parts of what that article said in Politico last week. So I just want to reassure everyone that we're on track, that we're moving forward, and that when you have a project of this magnitude, there are going to be challenges along the way. We always like to go into things thinking that it's going to be smooth sailing. Well, many times you hit a pothole or two. So, but the important thing is that we all want to work it out, and it will be worked out. So, thank you for that. Anybody have any other comments they'd like to make? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. And again, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.